What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the YouTube Barber Academy. Now, if you've noticed, I've been kind of holding off on doing reviews. I haven't been wanting to do them, and a lot of that is because of my sponsorship with Gamma, and I feel like you guys might not trust my opinion, although I know that's not really true. So I'm gonna do my best to explain to you guys quickly how that works. Gamma has no say in what I do, how I do it. They don't know about this video. They don't know about practically anything that I do. What they do know is that they send me a lot of stuff both to test and to give away. And if you guys do use my code, you'll save 10% off and I get a commission from that sale. I can't even tell you guys how much work went into this video. From researching all the equipment, to listing all the prices down below, to trying to find you guys the best affiliate links I can, to getting you a discount code. And then I also included a poll that we're gonna go through later in the videos to see what your favorite trimmer was as well. So if you like high quality content like this and you want to see more of it, man, please do me a favor. My channel is broken. If you guys could stop right now, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and click that bell and select the notifications to be for all. Then maybe you guys will get notified when my videos post and you guys can see more stuff like this. Let's begin this review with the preface of I do not use my trimmers for debulking. I would strongly suggest that you debulk with a detachable and get yourself a 5.0, and that's gonna get you about as close as a trimmer. And there's another advantage to that because trimmers, once zero gap, they can get just a little bit closer. With that being said, I'm trying not to let this cloud my judgment in any way, and I'm trying to give you guys a fair and honest review of what I believe are the best 6 trimmers on the market today in 2021. There are a couple of others floating around out there that I have not had any experience with, therefore I will not be talking about those, but they're not really on the radar, so to speak, in the industry as a whole if they're not in this list. So I've compiled a list. We got 6 simple categories. We got debulk, comfort, line, battery, charging, cost. So that's the list that we're gonna go through. I'm gonna try to assign a grade, and I'm also going to add some of my experience in dealing with these companies, both their customer service, their longevity, and whatever else comes to mind as we go. I'll be listing them from my least favorite to my most favorite, and I'm ready to get started. So let's go. All right, so the first trimmer on my list, I'm gonna call this number 6, is the Slimline Pro Li. Now, I really feel like this is a really good bang for your buck. It was one of my favorite trimmers that I ever used. It gave me the ability to go cordless with no compromises, and it put in a super sharp line. It was pretty fair at debulking. The battery was good. I never really had issues with the battery, and for the most part, it's just been a fantastic trimmer to use. And it just kind of paved the way into what we're starting to see now as far as cordless trimmers go. But I just want to talk about the modifications on this clipper real quickly, because a lot of people, it was a very popular mod to put the GTX blade on here, and it did cut well. Some people skeleton like I did this one, but I'm going to tell you guys, I actually think in the long term and for longevity's sake, I think that you guys should just leave it alone and go cut with it and enjoy it, because I think over the long haul, you'll find better performance on the stock blade that's there. Now, the stock blade that's there is also useful. The size of it is very small, and I like to use this one for design sometimes because it doesn't put in such a large line. So if I'm trying to do designs and I want to find details, that's pretty good there. Now, the overhang on the T-blade is not that big, so it does make it a little challenging to get around the ears, but you can still do it. So that's pretty much what I like about this trimmer, and let's talk about some of the negatives. Now, one of the negatives I just listed was the T outliner portion of this doesn't hang over quite enough. It doesn't do as much as some of the other ones do. So for that reason, I would say that this probably is a little bit of a negative. It just makes it a little bit more difficult. The second thing that I absolutely hated about this was the amount of times I went to go put this on a stand and I thought it was charging and it turned out that it was not charging, and I had to fight with it to get it in there, and then usually within 1 year this unit will die altogether. Even the pass-through wouldn't work, so I'd wind up plugging it in on the bottom. But when these first came out, they were so cheap that I really didn't mind if I did have to purchase another one. It was all right with me. So that was one of the main negatives of that. And beyond that, the battery life is certainly not as good as some of the stuff that's recently come out. However, I feel like at an excellent value and a really good price point, this is a really good trimmer to use. So let's keep it moving on to number 5. Number 5 is probably the most disappointing trimmer on the list. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because we finally got it to work right, and there is some good stuff about it, but let's go through the stuff that I do like about it and the positives. Number one, clearly you're getting to use the outliner and you have the ability to add a GTX blade to it. Now, if we go back to corded world for just a little while, the corded trimmers that ruled the land were, for me, I love the Wall Hero, the Wall Detailer, and I love the Andis GTX or outliner with a GTX blade on it. And the shape is the same, so at least that's consistent. It feels about the same. It's not too heavy. It's pretty good as far as aesthetics go. And the other positive is it comes with a stand and it snaps right in there, and I've not had any issues with charging it per se. Now, let's get on to some of the negatives, because y'all know I can't wait to talk about this. All right, so when these first came out, they were over $200. I wanna say it was like $250 for this trimmer, which is a huge disappointment, because if you paid $250 for that initial batch, you got one and it performed the way it did. One of the other things that was really disappointing about the Andis Cordless Outliner was the fact that it had a rotary motor in it, and I think that sort of took away from what was great about the original corded model, which is why I like using the Evo with the Andis blade mod on it from Nilo Blends. It was practically unusable for me. So that was how it came in the box. Tried to use it. We got hairs getting snagged, stuff's not getting cut, and we're definitely not seeing any sharp lines. Fast forward to the future, we've upgraded it with the GTX blade, and beyond that, we've actually seen a significant increase in performance. After we washed off some of the factory grease and stuff like that, we actually got these to start hitting pretty good. But due to the large cost, I really wasn't impressed. And as far as debulking, they do a fair amount at debulking. Without zero gapping it too much, the comfort level is actually about similar to what you would feel with the outliners. So on your face, they don't feel too bad. It's not terrible. The line that they put down is certainly not as good as some of the ones that we're gonna talk about down the road here in this video. So the line, I wouldn't say, 1 through 10, I'd give it a 7, maybe. I'm giving you a little credit, Andis. So the battery life is good, not had any problems with that. These seem to last for quite a few cuts, and you can keep working with them. The charging, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a plus there, because when I put this on the stand, it just rocks and rolls, and I've not had any issues with it not seating properly or not charging properly. But the cost is probably the huge negative, although they have come down some in price. And I guess if you see one now and it's a good price, it might be worth picking up. Or you might want to save your money, because for about the same amount of money, I think we could do a little bit better, and that's going to take us down to the number 4 spot. Okay, so in the number 4 place, we have the Wall Detailer Cordless. All right, so there's a couple things that I really like about this, and one of the first things I'm going to say is this is probably one of the best debulking trimmers that you can have. I think that this has more power than almost anything else on the list, and it just mows down the hair. So if you are a debulker, if you're somebody who refuses to buy a detachable and you like to use it to debulk, this is a good machine to use. So I might say that this is probably one of the most comfortable and gentle trimmers on the list, and it's just a cinch to remove bulk with it. However, the line is not quite as good as some of the top tier ones that put it in there, but I know there's people who have theirs just perfected and they got it zero gap perfect, and I know that these can actually put in some pretty good lines. However, I don't really like the bulky size of it. It doesn't really feel that good to me. But another huge positive that I like about it is when it sits in its stand, it's actually very loose in the stand. And this is a pretty smart idea, because when you set this in the stand, it always charges and you don't have issues because you don't have any of that plastic rubbing. So I think that was pretty good. And again, just like with the Andis, the stand is quite premium, and they have this little swivel around charging connector. So if it has to sit at like 90 degrees on your station, you can actually plug this in. And this is one of the handful of trimmers that I actually keep on the stand, and I do keep this on the station just in case I want to debulk with the trimmer. But other than that, all in all, if we go to the cost of this machine, it's pretty comparable with some of the top tier stuff. I think it's close to the same price. is the higher ones on the list. So for me, this would probably not be something I would purchase again, and I wouldn't recommend it. But if you do have it and you do like it, I'm sure you're going to enjoy using it in the cordless platform, and the battery life is also fantastic. All right, let's keep it moving to the number 3 spot. Number 3, the Gamma Evo trimmer. Now what this Gamma Evo trimmer did for the first time ever was it put the magnetic motor in a trimmer, and it also gives us pretty close to like 4 hours worth of battery life. Some of the stuff I really like about it include that you can change out your case. There's actually, these are 2 pieces, so you can change out whatever color you like. I like that they're skeletoned. I like that they are actually fairly light. And one of the things that I like probably the most as of lately is using this micro USB charging port. Another item sent by Gamma is a magnetic charging port. So all it is a micro USB magnet that plugs in here, and then you have magnetic charging, which is one of the coolest new things, because now we can kind of charge practically everything in our arsenal with one thing. So I like to see that universal aspect when it comes to charging. All right, debulking, these are probably not gonna be the ones that you wanna use to debulk with. However, it does put down some pretty sharp lines. Now, I've been kind of fortunate to be able to try a lot of this stuff before it was ever on the market. I've used a lot of different blades, and I can say right now, I really love the kit that is sold by Nilo Blends, which allows you to put an Andish GTX blade on here. And when we put the GTX blade on here, I think universally, we all kind of agreed that we like that blade the most. However, as of just about a week ago, Gamma sent me a new blade, the Gamma Ultimate Extra Sharp blade, and I'm pretty sure that once I put it on here, it's gonna perform extremely well also. But they do put down a nice line, they have great charging, and one thing that's really nice with Gamma is the cost for what you get an awful lot. So you do get a charging stand, you do also get your micro USB charging. The batteries do last forever, so I actually never really do plug it in, and for the most part, all in all, just an awesome trimmer. But not the best yet, and not the best on this list as far as I'm concerned yet. So when it comes to Gamma, you get a lot of value, you get a lot of extra stuff in the box, you get a couple extra blades, you get some extra lids. You have a lot of options with this, and that's one of the reasons why it places so high on this list. And if you guys do have an Evo, I'm sure you're gonna enjoy working with it. So with that being said, let's move on to the number 2 spot. Number 2 was a very difficult pick for me. It really was, but I'm actually going to put the hitter at number 2. All right, so let's talk about the hitter for just a second. And first things first, a lot here to like. One, I love the skeleton. I love the changing lids. I love the micro USB charging port. I like that it has a stand. All this stuff is fantastic. The battery life is awesome. And there's just a lot to like about it, and probably this is also one of the better debulking trimmers on this list. So let's talk about this blade that I have on this current one. I have the P3 blade from Ever Since. Okay, so that's the name of their company. This is like a modified blade, and for a while when they first sent me this, I really loved it, and I thought it was probably the best one that I used on this trimmer, because again, I've used practically every trimmer. I've used practically every blade that Gamma has sent me. I've experimented with a lot of them, and I really like using the P3 blade. Until they sent me the Gamma Ultimate Extra Sharp blade, which I'm not sure if that's what they're gonna go forward calling it, but this is just a top blade, and I put it on the regular cutter that was there, and this thing hits. Oh my God, it hits. So there's kind of a reason why I got 2, because the P3 blade, it debulks so well, and the comfort level in both of these is just extremely smooth. Unless you zero gap it like insanely close, this is a really comfortable, and it gets so close. I mean, I can't even tell you, it's almost like you don't really even need to shave after you run this on you. So if you guys are watching this for a consumer grade product, awesome. And then the value here is really good because these are not super expensive. You can actually get the Protege with the Protege clipper, both for like $150. So if you didn't want to buy the exact, it's the exact same thing, it's just the Protege trimmer. If you didn't want to buy the absolute hitter, you can buy the Protege version and you can save a little bit of money, maybe upgrade the blade, and then you wind up with both the trimmer and the clipper. So I think that's just an excellent combo for you guys to look into. But the line that this puts down with the Ultimate blade is one of the best in the pack, and it was a very, very difficult decision between 1 and 2. So for my money and my value, this is probably one of my favorite trimmers to recommend to you, and it's not even the most expensive one on this list. As far as negatives go, I don't really have a lot of negatives to report on this. For the most part, it's been great. The only thing I would say is when we put the extra sharp blade on here, it doesn't debulk quite as well as it did with the P3 blade, but it works just fine. And like I said, I don't debulk with it. The noise level is a little bit higher than some of these other ones, but not so loud that it bothers me or that I wouldn't want to use it. So for the most part, I think this is an excellent trimmer. And really, every trimmer that I've listed on this list is a professional grade trimmer, and all of them will work. And I know some people are gonna have some differing opinions as far as that goes, but all of them will work fine if you guys are trying to do this barber thing, or if you're just trying to trim your facial hair, or whatever you're trying to do with them. So with that being said, let's move on down the list to number 1. The undisputed, reigning champion. Okay, I'm just playing about all that, but I'll be honest with you guys. You guys know I hate this company. I hate Babyliss, and I've had to eat crow because they finally made a good product. But with that being said, there is a lot going on with this trimmer's blade, so let's talk about it. Some of the stuff I love about it. I don't love the battery life, so we're not even gonna jump right into that. I'm not a big fan of the flashlight shape, but wait, we're supposed to talk about what we like. We gotta give them credit where credit is due. So let's talk about the thing I really do like. The blade on this trimmer is insane. It's a different kind of level that you can get. You can get so close with this, and it just cuts lines beautifully to where I barely ever shave behind them. I finally have gotten that level of closeness now with the hitter, with that Ultimate blade on it, but this one comes that way straight out of the box, and that's why it winds up in the top slot. Another innovative feature that I really like about this is your ability to zero gap. This is so easy due to the fact that you can access the bolts to do so without taking off the top lid. So that was a genius idea. And by and large, it just works and it does what it's supposed to do. Now let's talk about some of the negatives. I don't like the battery life. The battery life is actually already starting to wane for me. So there's multiple times throughout the day that I have to plug this in. I am aware that in the other countries, I believe there's a stand available for it. And if I had that, I probably would use it. But I don't actually have a stand for it. So I gotta fish around and I gotta plug it in. We don't have any other plug options other than plugging it in the bottom. So there's no micro USB charging. I'm not a huge fan of the shape. The flashlight thing, not really, not a big deal for me, but I don't really like it because it's round. It feels like you could just pick this up and you got it sort of tipped in your hand real easy. Whereas like if you have something that has a little square edge on it, it's a little easier to kind of maneuver, in my opinion. But the closeness of the cut and the comfort delivered as well, it's a very comfortable trimmer. And noise-wise, I guess it's about the same as the hitter, maybe like a skosh less loud than the hitter, but it's just not an issue at all. But the comfort when you cut is something that it definitely has going for it. This is an excellent trimmer for under the neck, and it doesn't really seem to bother or irritate customers unless you have it zero gapped like through the roof, like you got it pushed up so high that you use it to cut wood on your side job on the weekend while you do construction. But no, for real though, it's a great machine, and that's why it once again still reigns supreme in my mind. I think it still is the best trimmer on this list. However, I do think the competition coming down the pipe is getting closer and closer to being able to duplicate this straight out of the box. So with that being said, the number 1 and number 2, I could easily work with either one of these all day long without feeling like I'm compromising anything. But the only thing that I would say is the reason why I'm giving the edge to the Gold FX over the hitter is simply because the Gold FX comes, you take it out of the box, you use it, and you're done. So that's about as easy as it can be, and that's why they're currently in number 1 slot. And Gamma, you know I love you. You know I love you. And I love my audience, and I value my audience, and I always want to try to do my best to give you guys the truth. The truth? The truth. Okay, you guys, the results are in from the poll, and they're pretty interesting. but they do make sense. So let's just go through it. We'll take it from the top to the bottom, and the Gold FX comes in first place with 64% out of 591 votes. The second place is the Wall Cordless Detailer at 13%. Third place, Andis Cordless T Outliner at 12%. And then we have the Absolute Hitter at 7%. And we have the Gamma Evo at 4%. Which actually makes a lot of sense because I know a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to work with the Evos or the hitters, and nor have they had the opportunity to try some of the blade options that I've got. But I can tell you one thing, the future is looking really bright for Gamma. With some of these new things that they're doing, it's gonna be changing a lot of stuff in the game, especially the Fusion blade that's coming down the pipe for clippers. That's gonna be another big hit. I just know it. When other people get their hands on this, they're really going to like it. But the truth is, I really do still feel like the Babyliss Gold FX, it's earned the crown and it deserves it. It's well deserved. I can see why people like the Wall 5-star Detailer because that had such a big fan base built into it before it dropped that a lot of people have already had their hands on it. A lot of people know that it's a good quality machine. I am surprised that the Andis Cordless T Outliner did 12%, but I guess that's probably, again, off of its name, off of its recognition, probably the reason why so many people are using it, because I don't really feel like it's the best one on this list at all. And price-wise, it's not that much more to get yourself something a little better than that. And the Absolute Hitter has been around for a while. A lot of people know it's good. So, you know, 7%, but you got to think about barbering as a whole. Not a lot of people know about Gamma yet still. So I'm sure if we do this poll in a couple years, I bet you it's going to be completely different. And the Gamma Evo, almost no one's got one because every time they restock them, they get sold out like right away. So I can understand why the voting came in the way it did. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that I helped you and aided you in your decision, and I will try to find links and put them all down below. Most of this you can get on 614 Barber Supply, and if you use my code Eddie, you'll also save 5%. However, if you are gonna purchase any of the Gamma stuff on this list, use my code Eddie and you will save 10% off your order. So I appreciate you guys. I'll check back with you soon. I'll be dropping another video, and I hope that you guys stick around for my electric shaver review. My electric shaver review's coming down the pipe. I'm also doing another one on lighting in the barbershop. So I hope that you guys can stick around for those two. I'll be dropping those in a follow-up video. But until then, this is the YouTube Barber Academy. I'm Mr. Eddie Barber, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace. Evo trimmer. Okay, so this trimmer was kind of shaking up things So with Gamma, you do, I don't think there's anything else to be said about it. I think I said it all.